After Naples, nothing was the same. Ridge returned to Los Angeles with a weight on his chest and a storm behind his eyes. He had gone to Italy with clarity and purpose. He was going to marry Taylor, build a future rooted in peace and stability. But the unexpected happened. Under the golden skies of Naples, beside the crashing waves of the Amalfi Coast, he had a moment. A moment with Brooke. It wasn't planned. It wasn't even welcome. But it was real. A single glance. A shared breath. A hand brushed. And in that fleeting second, everything Ridge thought he had buried came roaring back. They didn't kiss. Not yet. But the emotional gravity of that pause, the weight of decades, children, betrayals, reconciliations, was heavier than any physical touch. That was the beginning of the unraveling. Back in Los Angeles, Ridge tried to tuck the moment away. He dove into wedding planning with Taylor, told himself it was just nostalgia, that love was what he was building with her, not what he remembered with Brooke. But the truth gnawed at him, and Taylor could feel it. There was a distance in Ridge's touch, a delay in his smile, a reluctance in his vows. She brushed it off at first, jet lag, stress, pressure from the media. But her instincts screamed something deeper. Meanwhile, Brooke returned from Naples as well, her own feelings in disarray. That moment with Ridge, it wasn't imagined. He felt it too. She knew him too well to pretend otherwise. But she didn't act on it. She couldn't. Ridge was engaged. And so, when Nick appeared, so suddenly, so perfectly timed, offering something clean and solid and new, Brooke hesitated. Nick had always been there in the background, the steady alternative to Ridge's chaos. And now here he was, on one knee, holding a ring, offering her a chance to start over. To leave the triangle behind. To finally be free. Brooke didn't say yes. She didn't say no either. She held the box in her hand, the sparkle of the diamond reflected in her eyes, but her heart was miles away, still somewhere in Italy, still echoing that unsaid truth with Ridge. Nick, ever the pragmatist, saw the hesitation. He asked her straight, "Are you still in love with Ridge?" And Brooke, for once, didn't answer. That silence said everything. Taylor couldn't ignore it anymore. One day before the wedding, the flowers were ordered, the guests were confirmed, the dress was tailored, but the groom was emotionally unavailable. She confronted Ridge in his office at Forrester Creations, surrounded by decades of sketches, memories, ghosts. "What happened in Naples?" she asked. Ridge tried to deflect. Taylor wouldn't let him. "You're here, but your heart isn't. What aren't you telling me?" And he broke. He told her part of it, at least. He told her about Brooke, about how being with her again brought everything back. He swore there was no affair, no betrayal of the body, but the betrayal of the heart was clear. Taylor's world tilted. Again. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked. "Because I wanted to protect you," Ridge said. "No," Taylor replied. "You wanted to protect yourself." She walked out without another word, her wedding gown waiting in a bag she might never open again. Then came the explosion. The video surfaced online, an anonymous leak. It was grainy but unmistakable. Shot by a tourist in Italy, it captured the very moment Ridge and Brooke stood close on the edge of the water, locked in that timeless gaze. No kiss, no contact, but the tension, the intimacy, the emotion, it was damning. The internet erupted. Headlines screamed, "Ridge torn in Italy." "The kiss that almost happened." "Runaway groom?" Forrester Creations' PR scrambled, the press circled, and the Forrester and Logan families demanded answers. It all came to a head in the main conference room, every key player present: Ridge, Taylor, Brooke, Nick, Eric, Steffi, Hope, Thomas, Donna. The room was quiet as the video played on the projector. Silence followed. Then questions. Ridge stood and told the truth, not just to Taylor, but to everyone. He didn't deny the moment. He didn't minimize it. He said what he should have said long ago. "I still have feelings for Brooke. I don't know what they mean. I didn't ask for them. I didn't plan them. But I can't marry Taylor until I figure this out. The air cracked like glass. Taylor closed her eyes. Nick stood quietly, jaw clenched. Brooke lowered her head, unsure if she felt vindicated or humiliated. The wedding was canceled. Officially postponed, but everyone knew what that meant. Taylor left the building without a word, flanked by Steffi and Thomas. Ridge didn't follow her. He stayed behind, answering questions from Eric and Donna, trying to hold on to his dignity while the foundation of everything he had promised collapsed. Later that night, he found himself on the Forrester balcony alone, staring out at the city lights, trying to untangle his own guilt from his desire. He didn't want to hurt Taylor. He hadn't meant for any of this. But that moment in Italy, it wasn't just nostalgia. It was clarity. Nick confronted Brooke the next morning. "You still love him. Say it," he demanded. Brooke, exhausted, shaken, said nothing. Nick handed her the ring box. "I won't wait forever," he said. "This isn't a triangle I want to be part of." Brooke took the box, held it in her hand, and finally said the one thing that surprised even her. "I can't give you an answer. Not yet. I need to figure out what I want. Not what Ridge wants. Not what you want. What I want." For the first time in a long time, Brooke Logan took back her agency. Taylor, meanwhile, retreated into silence. She didn't lash out. She didn't blame Brooke or Nick. She blamed herself for believing in a man who could never fully choose her. In the days that followed, she canceled the wedding venue, returned the dress, and shut down all media inquiries. She refused to give interviews. Her only statement, there was love. But there was also hesitation. "I deserve more than that." And she was right. For Ridge, things didn't get simpler. He stayed away from both women for a time. He focused on work, tried to anchor himself in design and business, but his heart was a battlefield. He knew he couldn't go back to Taylor. Not after the Italy moment. Not after the confession. But he also couldn't go running back to Brooke, not while she wore another man's ring and questioned everything. And so Ridge waited. For the first time in years, he didn't chase. He didn't decide. He simply stood still. Brooke kept the ring in her drawer, unopened. She didn't return it to Nick. She didn't put it on. She spent time with Hope, with Donna, with herself. She walked the beach. She replayed every word Ridge had said to her. And eventually, she understood. She had spent so many years being chosen and rejected, adored and discarded. It was time she stopped being an option and started being her own answer. She met Nick for dinner one night, gave him the ring, and said, "You deserve someone who chooses you first." "That's not me. I'm sorry." Nick nodded, pained but unsurprised. "You'll always be chasing Ridge," he said. Brooke shook her head. "Not anymore. If Ridge wants to be with me, he'll have to come find me. But I'm not waiting." Ridge heard about the returned ring. He heard about Taylor's silence. And for once, the triangle wasn't a triangle anymore. It was a broken shape, a scattered set of decisions waiting to be rebuilt or left behind. Days turned into weeks. And in the quiet, in the stillness, Ridge finally asked himself what he truly wanted. Not out of guilt. Not out of obligation. But out of love. And maybe, just maybe, he would make the right choice this time. But for now, no weddings. No rings. Just consequences. Just space. And the long, painful work of figuring out what love really means when the illusions finally shatter. The bold and the beautiful weren't just names anymore. They were survivors. And the story was far from over. The news came like a thunderclap. Ridge was at Forrester Creations, lost in his usual fog, skimming through sketches, ignoring meetings, pretending he was fine, when Steffi burst into his office, her face pale, her breath shallow. "It's Mom," she said, voice cracking. "She's in the hospital. She took something. Pills. They think it was intentional." Ridge didn't hear the rest. The file in his hand dropped. The air vanished from the room. Within minutes, he was speeding down the freeway, weaving through traffic, replaying every conversation he'd had with Taylor in the last 2 weeks. Her calm tone, her quiet distance, the way she told him, "I just need time." He believed her. He thought she was healing. He thought she was safe. But he hadn't really been listening. He'd been too wrapped up in his own confusion, too distracted by Brooke. And now it might be too late. At the hospital, the sterile lights, the antiseptic smell, the hum of machines, it all blurred together. He found Steffi pacing outside the ICU, Thomas seated with his head in his hands. Neither of them spoke when Ridge arrived. They didn't need to. Ridge looked through the window. Taylor was there, unconscious, pale against the white sheets, and 4 dripping slow salvation into her veins. Machines beeped steadily, keeping her tethered to life. Ridge's knees buckled slightly, and he gripped the door frame to stay upright. "What happened?" he finally choked out. Thomas didn't look up. Steffi answered. "She called me earlier today. Said she loved me, said she was proud of us. And then she hung up. That's when I knew something was wrong. I found her in her bedroom. Empty pill bottle on the floor." If I'd been 10 minutes later, Ridge closed his eyes. The weight in his chest was unbearable. This was his fault. All of it. The wedding. The moment in Italy. The confession. The way he left her to spiral alone while he chased answers with Brooke. He had hurt Taylor before, but this was different. This was a wound she couldn't speak about. A silence she drowned in. He asked if she'd left a note. Steffi shook her head. Nothing. Just the bottle. Hours passed. Doctors came and went. No one had answers. They said it was wait and see. They said she was stable. But Ridge couldn't leave her side. When they finally allowed him into the room, he sat by her bed and took her hand. It was cold, too cold. He whispered her name. "Taylor." "It's me. It's Ridge. I'm here." His voice cracked, a rare vulnerability piercing through the armor. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say you were hurting this much?" He wiped at his eyes, his voice breaking. "I never wanted to lose you. Not like this." He stayed by her side all night. Brooke called. He didn't answer. Eric sent a message. He ignored it. The only thing that mattered was Taylor waking up. Sometime after dawn, her fingers twitched. Her eyelids fluttered. Ridge leapt forward. "Taylor." Her lips parted. Her voice was a whisper. "Ridge." It was hoarse. Fragile. But she was awake. Relief crashed into him. But it wasn't clean. It came with shame, with guilt, with the awful knowledge that it had taken this cliff's edge between life and death for him to see just how deep her pain had been. She looked at him, dazed. "You're here," she said. "Why?" Ridge didn't know what to say. "Because I love you," he answered, voice shaking. "And because I should have seen this coming." The days that followed were slow and silent. Taylor was placed under psychiatric observation. The hospital ruled it a suicide attempt. The press never found out, not yet, but whispers began. The Forrester family circled the wagons, releasing a vague statement about Taylor's health scare. Ridge barely left the hospital. Brooke tried to reach him again. He finally answered. She asked if she could come. He said no. "This isn't about us," he told her. "This is about what I've done." Nick visited Brooke that evening. She told him everything. About Taylor. About Ridge staying by her side. About how everything had spiraled. Nick, to his credit, didn't gloat. He said quietly, "You didn't cause this. But maybe now you'll see what loving Ridge really means. It's not romantic. It's tragic." Meanwhile, Ridge sat with Taylor each day, watching her come back slowly, one broken piece at a time. She barely spoke. Mostly she listened. To him. To Steffi. To Thomas. The doctors told them she would recover physically. Emotionally? That would take time. Ridge tried to be patient. But every day he saw it clearer. He had lost her. Not because she no longer loved him, but because he had pushed her to the edge and she had gone over. One afternoon, Taylor finally looked at him and asked, "If I had died, would you have regretted everything?" Ridge looked at her, stunned. "I regret all of it now," he said. "I regret not choosing you with my whole heart. I regret making you feel like you weren't enough." Taylor nodded. "You didn't make me feel that way. I've always felt that way with you. That's the problem." It was the most honest thing she had ever said to him. And it broke him. Because it was true. Eventually, Taylor was discharged. She didn't return to her old life immediately. She moved into a recovery center, focused on therapy on solitude. She told Ridge not to visit. She needed space, time, healing. He agreed. And when he told Brooke, she asked, "Does this mean you're coming back?" Ridge shook his head. "No, not yet. Maybe not ever. I have to fix myself before I can be with anyone." Brooke, for once, understood. She didn't press. She didn't chase. She just said, "Then do the work. And when you're ready, if you're ever ready, you'll know where to find me." The triangle had shattered. Not with a kiss. Not with a wedding. But with a scream no one heard until it was almost too late. And the scars would never fully fade.